Hi, good evening, and welcome to this Friday talk. Thanks everyone for joining in. We've got two very illustrious alumni, Sandeep Bhai and Manu, and we hope to have a very interesting conversation with them. Both of them are veterans in the markets. Sandeep Bhai is a known face on the business media channels. He tweets very actively and is always supportive of people who are interested in the markets, who take active interest in trading as well as investing. Manu has turned entrepreneur, and he's doing something very interesting in the space of personal finance. And Manu has his venture Go for Wealth, where they do a holistic asset planning amongst other things for their clients. Without much ado, I would like to first call on Manu for his opening remarks, please. Over to you, Manu.
Thank you, Manan. As the topic says, Indian capital markets, the next big boom. But then the boom also carries with it a lot of trouble for people. We always hear stories of people, their investment going awry, etc. So let me begin with the very basic of what should one think, one talk about, one has an approach while investing. The first one is, and before I begin, I must tell you that this equity market, Indian equity market, this provides opportunity to both the short-term traders as well as long-term investors. You have to define yourself. What are you? You can be both, but then you have to define one cohort for yourself. There's two different approach for both. Second, there are two different categories of products. The simplistic one like mutual funds and ETF, and the complex ones like derivative options, etc. for people there. You have to figure out what is it that you want to go and do for yourself, and then take steps. When people take steps, and that's what we advise people. When people take steps, the one thing that I always tell people to do is have a commonsensical approach. What I mean by common sense is, for example, there's a company having a very strong balance sheet, very strong cash flow, and there's a company having not so great balance sheet, highly leveraged. Which one would you prefer? Right? There's a common sense which tells that, okay, even if the company having high promoter score, high cash flow score, that should be given preference over the leveraged company. So that's what I mean by commonsensical approach. Yeah. Common sense also tells us which sector, which companies to pick up. Right? We see around and we figure out which are the companies to invest in. Similarly, I'm really fond of taking a goal-based approach. And I always advise people to have a goal. Unless you are a trader in the market itself, you must have your goals to back you up. You must have your investment mapped to one goal or the other. Otherwise, your investment chances are high that your investments would go awry. By goal-based, I also mean that you should have asset allocation done for it. People blow out their capital. They are 100% invested into equity market. Like this equity market downturn has come now. They blow out their capital. They are just left with nothing. So while you invest into equity market, remember that equity market, you should invest only your risk capital. Yeah, not all. You should have a proper asset allocation done for investing into equity market. Similarly, you must understand your financial positions well. You must understand what is the risk appetite that you can take, and thereafter, you should invest into that. While doing this, let me come back to the opportunities that's there in the market today. Right? Post-COVID, there's a lot of interesting opportunities that have come up. Right? Like we talk in the stock market terms, every disruption causes some different kind of opportunity that brings some different sector leaders, some different sectors into play. So, for example, most of us are doing work from home. Our children are getting educated online from home. Right? So this brings us to a different set of sector altogether called new age technologies. Right? I will not name companies, but then you can understand new age companies, telecom, data companies. These are the companies, online tutoring, for example. These are the companies. These are the sectors coming into focus now. This pandemic has caused a lot of trouble on health for us. Right? Now, health, India was itself a pharma capital earlier. Now, our pharmaceuticals have become much more lucrative now. Right? So pharmaceuticals, hospitals, diagnostic companies, these are the sectors. So again, a commonsensical approach. These are the sectors, these are the companies which you can pick up to, invest and build your long-term portfolio. Similarly, from pharma, we can come to insurance. Now, there's a increased awareness about insurance and having insurance in these troubled times. Now, health insurance companies, for example, life insurance companies, for example, many of them are listed on the Indian bourses. They can be some good sector play, some good tactical and long-term investments, for example. Similarly, I believe that while you pick up sectors, you must also focus on the quality of management behind the company. It's very important, right? Management and the promoters, they drive the vision. So if you go do a bit of deep research there, you will easily figure out which companies to invest in, right? There's a lot of research info available. Sandeep also would talk about it. There's a lot of things available online, and you can figure out which companies are leveraged, which companies are not leveraged. And that brings to my last point, which is while evaluating the investment opportunities in any company, you must figure out their balance sheet. You must understand what is their cash flow, how much are they getting in money, what is their operating profit margin. If the company is not able to meet its operating expenditure, why should you and why would anybody invest in that company? That means that the business model itself is not sustainable as such, right? So these are few of the basic things that is required before you delve into the equity market. Equity market itself is a very big opportunity. It presents a lot of short-term and long-term opportunities, but these are some of the commonsensical and critical steps that I advise people always to follow before investing and before delving into the stock market. Over to you, Manan.
Thanks, Manu. Very, very interesting approach. Thanks for your comments. Over to you, Sandeep Bhai. We'd like to hear a little more from your side.
Yeah. Manu spoke very well about how to approach the markets. And thank you first of all for the lovely introduction, Manan. It was actually great hearing from junior alumni, and it's a very, very good experience and a great feeling also. And I'm very excited to address my own alma mater and alumni, because getting recognized in your own institution really gives a different kick altogether. Though I'm there on the TV or the Twitter or all lots of YouTube channels also, but this feeling is extremely different. And yesterday only I did a webinar wherein we invited all our clients, sub-brokers, and all my Twitter followers, and all our friends and relatives also, and we tried to work on how to approach the stock markets and investment during this COVID Kaal. I would say this is just a Kalyug is there, or Satyug is there. This is COVID Yug. So we have to live with it. It's a new normal now. So lots of things are there where we have to really refocus now. Somehow I feel that we have to do a financial replanning, because lots of things have gone for toss, and then we have to re-understand and redo our risk profiling, because the risks are very different now. The goals are actually very different now. So we have to work on them. And one thing more, when one approach the markets, we really do a very different kind of risk profiling. Yesterday only, in last 2-3 years, we have evolved a questionnaire wherein we talk about financial freedom, and I call myself as a financial freedom fighter. We at TradeSwift, my company, which I co-founded in fact in 2003, and we have a decent client setup of a base of around 30,000 plus clients, wherein we are doing managed accounts also, we are doing algo also, and lots of all these basic investment accounts also. We promote passive investing, active investing. So we are trying to re-jargonize the whole investing industry, because somehow when people approach the market, they are not very clear, as Manu rightly said, about their role, how they see themselves. Are they a trader? Are they an investor? And how to approach the markets in a very, very safer and an optimal way. So we coming back to the questionnaire, I created a questionnaire wherein financial freedom and risk profiling questionnaire, wherein we are asking very, very in-depth questions relating to his understanding of risk and his level of knowledge. We are actually focusing on what kind of occupation he is in, what is the level of involvement in his occupation, what is the number of hours which he has to work, what is the number of days in a week he has to work, and what is the kind of assistance he has in the office, whether his business is on an auto mode or not, whether he is working in a private organization or a government job. So all these things really makes a lot of difference. Unnecessarily approaching the markets directly really, is very painful. And at the end of the day, you really lose money also, and the peace of mind also, and at the same time, your growth opportunities in your own career. So one has to be very, very cautious how to approach the markets and investments. And when it comes to COVID Kaal, during this time, there are lots of sectors, which have actually come to the fore, and the old sectors may not be the best sectors. Like BFSI was a great sector, and particularly in BFSI also, banking and financials, particularly the NBFCs, are the worst affected. Then financial services again is one segment of this BFSI segment, which is one of the best. And I think credit rating agencies or insurance companies or AMCs or the exchanges business, they will do well. So somehow we always preach that, during this call, you can believe in God and you can invest in God. God means G is gold, O is online businesses. You invest in online businesses, try to make yourself online individually also, and try to do lots of online changes in your organization. Even if you were procrastinating all these years, but now you have got a very good opportunity to restructure yourself. And the last one is D. D is deposits. Somehow I never realized the importance of fixed deposits, before COVID. And I was actually, deposits to बूढ़े लोगों का, retired लोगों का काम है, and those who are not daring enough, or they are coward, in fact, those who are investing in deposits. But now I feel that I'm really wrong, and now I feel the importance of some percentage of deposits in your portfolio also. So D for deposits, D for dollar also. I feel dollar is a great currency. I'm not trying to demean rupee, but then dollar is dollar. That's the reserve currency of the world. And then D for dividend yield stocks also. So these are some themes we are working on. Then sectors, as Manu has already spoken about, edutech has come up, online businesses, delivery businesses, healthcare, telemedicine. Then in sectors also, consumer staples, pharma. I have been recommending pharma stocks. In last 1 month, I have not recommended less than 15 to 20 pharma stocks only. Then we have been very bullish on ITC, Godrej Consumer, so all these consumer staple things. Then I feel that paints and chemicals industry might bounce back because of the weaker crude oil prices. Specialty chemicals is one sector one can really look at. Then labor markets are going through an unrest, so we'll have to be very cautious on MFIs, NBFCs, banks, and real estate and industrials also. So these are some insights. And then I feel that if you cannot approach the markets directly, if you have a paucity of time, paucity of relevant knowledge, because I know that all the attendees are really very qualified, but for me qualification is not the degree. For me qualification is, as Manu rightly said, commonsensical approach also. Then your knowledge about the markets, your level of knowledge in terms of fundamental analysis, technical analysis, options. Lots of knowledge has to be actually acquired to fight with the markets, because it is one of the toughest markets or toughest things to make money in the stock markets. I think 99% of people lose money here, and I had a very, very bitter experience in my life. When I was in first semester and second semester, I really did bad during those 2 semesters because I was trading like crazy during those days. And at the end of the 3rd semester, I lost around 40 lakhs along with my mother. I was actually trading incessantly, and luckily I went to Mr. Ramesh Damani for summers. And during those summers, I got to know that, I was really doing blunders, and somehow I restructured myself. And then in 2003, I again got back to my passion, and somehow I started my company. And that too also we started with commodity broking. And luckily KJ Somaiya, we had Professor Anil Shah and Susan Thomas. They were, I think, visiting faculties, and they were actually there to promote futures trading or doing some testing of futures trading on NSE. So we were actually, SP Jain and Somaiya were being selected. I think I'm going too long, but then somehow the story is very long. So Manan, I will just take some 2-3 minutes more if you permit that.
Please.
Yeah. So luckily, Somaiya was one of the institutes with SP Jain, and then the experience was so good, and those professors were so bullish about the commodity exchanges. So whenever commodity exchanges will be introduced, one should jump into commodity business. It was their statement, and believe me, November 10th, MCX came up with their exchange, and December 15th, 2003, NCDX came up with their exchange. And I left everything else and I remembered those words and I jumped into commodities. And in 2004-5, we did phenomenally well. I would appreciate ourselves and give a pat on my back that, we had a very, very huge volume and we were one of the pioneers of commodity broking industry in India. Then 2007, 8, 9 onwards, we got into equities, demat accounts, DP. And then in 2011-12, I realized that, we have to get into research. Then I have been doing aggressive research and a very intensive research with a team of around 5 people.
Sandeep, I'm going to pause you there based on the research fact. One question that comes across based on research is, we've heard this term on multiple occasions, quality at any cost. And we saw that play as a theme almost in the last 6 months prior to the COVID crash. Would like your views on this. Is it prudent to buy quality across sectors at any cost? Valuations, keeping aside, like we've recently seen an article where it says Kotak Mahindra Bank is the most expensively valued bank in the world. So do those kind of stock picks make sense? Or at some point we should be happy to walk away from stocks which are obscenely valued, for the lack of a better word?
It's a very good question, and it cannot be answered that shortly. And somehow, as you said, Kotak Mahindra Bank is one of the most expensive banks in the world. So Kotak Mahindra is still doing well. It is not doing as bad as Bajaj Finance. And Bajaj Finance was at price to book value multiples of 10 times, and it was the most expensive NBFC in the world. And now we can see, it came down to 2,000 rupees or 1,900 rupees from 5,000. So we have to be very careful about the valuations. And believe me, I was one of my cousin brother-in-laws, he's a doctorate in finance and he has been teaching in, NUS also, and in US also, he's been teaching in lots of leading universities. And when I told him that, HUL is at a valuation of say 80 to 90 P multiples. So he was really scared and he was really surprised. And even if we see in India, the valuations of good companies are very high because there is a paucity of good quality stocks. And in US, even Alphabets of the world and Googles of the world are trading at, companies like chemical companies of India. So we have to be very, it's a very, very subjective thing. And I will have lots of other factors, like I'll check the promoter quality, I'll check the sector also, I'll check the peer comparison also, then I'll check the return on capital employed, I'll check the debt equity ratio, interest coverage ratio. So lots of factors are there. But again, every industry has their own standard of P multiples, which we will certainly, we can discuss when we can have a specific.
Thanks, Sandeep. Manu, coming to you on this particular thing, we've seen large big names in corporate India come crashing down, and at the same time we've seen smaller promoters who have built a good business based on A, the business potential, and B, the way that they work. So they are the new quality. We'd like to have some thoughts on that, please.
Yeah. So like Sandeep said, we were changing, and not just general investors, every mutual fund and bigger companies, all those MFIs, they were changing, as you said, quality at any cost. And therefore, certain companies were rewarded with high Ps and high Ps, etc. Now, what happens is, in time like these, obviously, when things are available at a cheaper valuation, why would anybody give a higher valuation to a generally known company as well? Also, the fact is that this pandemic has proven that there's no business which is recession proof, right? There was a time when, so today we're talking about telecom. There was a time when telecom was the most doomed sector. I mean, it was not very far away, right? So therefore, the fundamental value of investment, the fundamental process of investment is to figure out first is to figure out what you want to do, what is your risk appetite, and then secondly, figure out, as Sandeep rightly said, figure out the sector that is coming up, the companies which are there, having the balance sheet that's there for the company. Sometimes PE is not just reflective of the multiple that we give to people, give to companies. PE is also reflective of the growth potential that I want to see, that I'm willing to see in that company. Why was Bajaj Finance being rewarded? Because it was giving us super growth of 40 plus percentage, right? Now, so if the growth is there, PE would follow. But then I am an investor and I am an educator, which always believes that for me, PE has to be reasonable. I don't go beyond a certain PE level. And I believe that and I'm very clear on that, if there is a company which has got promoter issue, come what may, even if, so I don't want to take names, but there are companies, the banks, which were trading at X level and they became 2X in a matter of, say, few weeks. I said, I'm very clear, I'll not invest in those banks because the promoter quality is a concern for me. Similarly, there are good promoter qualities companies, but then their fee is very high. I would wait for my time to invest in those companies, or rather I would not invest at that time. Because if you see Indian stock market, it's not just based on those 5, 6, 7 companies. Yes, there's paucity of companies, but then if you research well, you will get a lot of companies which show you enough good valuations. Sandeep is a proponent of valuation investing, right? So Sandeep himself has given a lot of trading as well as investing calls onto valuation. And we believe that any company which has got good valuation, backed up with good promoter, backed up with good financials, are the investing bet. Not just any company, which are run-of-the-mill companies.
Thanks,
Manan, I would like to add, sorry to interrupt, Manan, I would just like to add something to that, you were talking about P multiple, then I missed on that, that time. We look at some 15 to 20 parameters on fundamentals, P multiples, then return on capital employed, return on equity, then the promoter's stake, then the pledging ratio. So there are a whole lot of, screeners we have done, we do a screener on these parameters, then, what is the price to book value multiple also. So around 15, 16, and when we do it on 8,000 companies, believe me, we just reached at 185 to 200 companies before COVID, I'm saying. And post-COVID, there are very few companies coming on those parameters. So we will look at, 15 to 20 P multiple, 15 to 20 ROE, 15 to 20 ROC. So all these criteria are there. Then we do a fundamental research. Then we technically time them. And then we, work on options also. So there is a big, lethal combination of all these instruments. So there are n number of things to do, and so I think
I would just one thing, Manan, I would just add one more thing here. So you know what? While we go for all those, so these are jargons, PE, PB, everything. I mean, like Sandeep said earlier, it's a jargon, and we have to declutter, de-jargonize the investing. So what people do is generally when it comes to PB or PE, they say no, we'll not look at this year. We'll look at 2 year forward. We'll look at 1 year forward. I mean, I always believe that this is a very, very wrong approach to investing. Why? So yes, you should have a view of future there, but why would you not look at today? If a company is not having a sound business model today, yes, there are chances that you'll have it in future, but then why would you look at future when you have got so many different companies to invest in? It's just about satisfying your ego many times, and therefore I also propose this thing to my people: remove biases out of your investing. Many times people succumb to their biases. They say, okay, somebody has made good investment, good money in this investment, I will put money there. Because my last investment was bad, I will not put money here. No, these are biases, and biases must be removed from investing. Biases, just cripple your thought process, and this just cripples your investment theory. And therefore, people, sometimes they're lucky in their investment, but most of the time they're not lucky. And rightly Sandeep has said, 99% people, they don't make money, 1% only make money that way.
Okay. Yeah. So coming to the next part of the conversation, we've seen certain themes play out spectacularly, both in our portfolios as well as on all kinds of media, social and mainstream. Some of the common themes that we've seen are the specialty chemicals that are going. Certain pharma companies are flavor of the season, flavor of the day. I would like your thoughts on some companies or some sectors which have not yet caught on to the fancy, but are trading at attractive valuations, have a great story to tell. So from both of you all individually, if I can have one or two such ideas where our audience can, sort of maybe invest after doing their diligence, but they can get some flavor as to this is the next big sector to go to. So over to you, Manu. If I can have some interesting aspect on that part.
Uh, if I have to pick just two, though I have a list of some six to give, but then if I have to just pick two, I would say
Your top two, please.
Yeah, top two picks would be, see, one would always be the China alternate, right? The China alternate, China reject. That's the one theme that I always pick on, right? So people always say that, okay, India has got a lot of potential to become the next manufacturing hub, etc., etc. We are already manufacturing a lot of things for the world, right? And we have to figure out those. So, like Sandeep said, and I also said in the beginning, there are chemicals which there are specialty chemicals, there are places which China has kind of rejected, or people who really want to build an alternate to China model. So this is one theme that I pick for myself. This is number one theme for me. The number two theme, which everybody will now point finger to and or put a finger on, would be the new age technology, right? We have seen stories of how one company attracts billions of dollars within few weeks, right? So new age technology, the company which are transforming from say one model to other model. These are the two themes I would say that would deliver really good. I would just want to add one more there. Two are there. One more, if you permit, Manan, right? So, I believe that with a lot of now, so we were lazy earlier also. Not to blame, but the lifestyle is such that we are lazy. We have become lazy, right? We order everything, food online, pizza online, everything online, right? Groceries online. Now, this pandemic has thrown this laziness more upon us, right? We have become further lazy. So, what laziness has done is probably it has thrown upon a new sector to us, which was there in reckoning, but which was there off radar for some time, and that was logistics and delivery. There are companies out there, though I have my own reservations also there, how to pick, how not to pick, but there are companies out there which are doing really good there. And we can look at few companies, in this sector, which is delivery and, a lot of other delivery, logistics, etc. Yeah.
Great. Sandeep bhai, three interesting stock picks for the coming, 1 year. Something that has caught your radar, something that has caught your screening, technical, fundamental, mix of both. So either companies or sectors, please.
Yeah, actually
जिसको देख के मजा आ जाए, संदीप भाई.
Okay, देख के मजा आता आमिर खान को, and Salman Khan, Shah Rukh Khan और आमिर खान तीनों को खड़े कर दे, and अगर we do a research survey here, so everyone will go for आमिर खान, 95% of the people, because ये मैंने survey कम से कम 25 से 30 seminars और webinars में कर चुका हूँ, more than hundreds I think, और ये बहुत common मेरा वो है. So I always try to identify the Amir Khans of the industry, and then technically also Amir Khan is good, fundamentally also good, hit quotient भी जबरदस्त देता है, and flop होती नहीं है movie. And then number two, we have to pick stocks like we are choosing a son-in-law for our daughter. It is as difficult as that. And when you go for choosing son-in-law for your daughter, so whenever someone is doing this exercise, he looks for everything and he is so cautious about every damn thing. So we have to be equally cautious while choosing stocks also. And I always believe 2-3 peak, base peak, I can give any number, but I really want, if someone has to go for picking stocks, first fundamental analysis is very important, which we don't do. We can buy a mobile, we can buy a matki, everything without doing research. We don't do that. But when it comes to buying stocks, Sandeep Jain ne bol diya, TV pe sun liya, everyone buys it. So that's not the criteria. One has to do their own due diligence, own exercise, own channel checks. And we being an MBA student, because this crowd is really very different. When I go to Twitter, we have got different crowd. When I go to TV, I have a different crowd. When I'm coming to Somaiya, I think this crowd is very intelligent. Lots of people might be more qualified than me in terms of, knowing more about finances and financial valuations and all. But still, as you said, I will come back to my point. Specialty chemicals, I'm very, very bullish. Last week, I recommended this on Z Business also as value pick. That is Vinati Organics. It was 7% up today. And I came up with a list of 20 stocks on 13th May. That was Atmanirbhar picks. We try to, just make it more interesting to sound. And, Atmanirbhar का 20 लाख करोड़ का जो so called package आया उससे फायदा हो या नहीं हो, but stocks ऐसे दे देंगे. So, I was bullish on exchange businesses because CDSL, one of my favorite picks, then say Indian Energy Exchange, which is a very, very, unheard exchange of India, but then doing very well in terms of numbers. Then we can go for, MCX, which has already achieved targets. Then we can go for BSE also, BSE on declines. So these exchange businesses will do very well. ICICI Direct, this is the company where I started my career as a direct business catalyst or a sub-broker. And this company is a fantastic full service premium brokerage company, unlike, Zerodha's of the world, which is a discount broking company. So, exchange businesses I'm very bullish on. Then I'm very bullish on some cheaper FMCG companies like ITC and Godrej Consumer Products. Because when it comes to say HULs and Nestle's of the world, they are very, very expensive in terms of valuations. But yes, they are great companies. They can be held in the portfolios. But when it comes to new stocks to buy, then I will come for them. Then I will go for some, chemical stocks, as I said, a fertilizer or agri input theory, system companies. And they are like, Rallis India or say GNFC, all these companies. So I've got a huge list of, 20 stocks. And then I will go for some FMEG also, fast moving electrical goods. So that is polycab kind of companies. So I think I have a whole lot of big list. I can always discuss, and it's there on my Twitter handle also. It's there on our website also. One can certainly look at, and one can easily give me a call. I'm more than happy to, attend all the Simsar alumni calls.
Interesting. So that brings us to a common theme of China substitution or China complementation, specialty chemicals, not very expensive FMCG, not very expensive consumer, fast-moving consumers. And I'm sure if both of you all can, give us your recommendations, we will give it to the audience who's attended once this is over. Coming to a very important part is how do you protect capital in such a downturn? Because come 1st February, I don't think anybody, there was a bit of the rumor of COVID and, things were getting out of hand at some places. However, nobody expected it to be this bad. And I feel we've gotten out a little better than a lot of other countries in terms of manpower loss and human lives lost. So how important does capital protection become in this kind of a scenario? Because this is going to be the new normal. So Sandeep, if you can, give us some ideas as to, probably cash allocation or gold allocation or some other kind of, allocation where it's in safe stocks or it's in stocks which are low beta.
See, first of all, what I will appreciate, because me being from 98, I think I'm the senior most guys in the 55 participants and the whole panel, I think. And believe me this, if one is working in a very competitive environment like ours, and because lots of attendees must be professionals. So I feel, approaching the markets in a passive way is a very good idea. Approaching the markets in a passive way means, you can approach the markets through ETFs. Just invest in, Nifty ETF. That is the no-brainer kind of investment one can do, because the exchanges itself weed out the bad performers, and all the time good companies are brought into the index. So you don't have to go to any experts. You don't have to, wreck your brains to choose mutual funds also. So ETFs is one thing which is very important. Number two, me and Manu were talking about in the morning, risk management. As again, I rightly said, that, risk profiling, planning is more important. And when it comes to, people like us who are working, and I think all are middle-aged or some maybe in early 30s or late 20s. So we have to, do with SIPs. We have to approach the markets through primary participation. That is just apply in IPOs, OFS, buybacks, and do SIPs, do ETFs. So all these, or if you have a higher amount of, money to invest, you can approach PMSs or AIFs or, some managed account kind of thing. But directly approaching the market, somehow I feel that it's not a great idea. Sorry, I'm just discouraging and I'm deviating from the question of, giving ideas or picks. But then it is very important, that we focus on our own business, own employment, own self-employment, own job. And then, if we get time, we can do something else. But I feel, whatever money you will be making out of your investments, that 20% or 15% of 20 lakhs or 25 lakhs, which is a standard amount, that is 5 lakhs. And if you focus more on your job, you will not lose the peace of mind also unnecessarily. And because tracking the markets is a very, very boring job, and unnecessarily you lose on lots of things like peace of mind, family relationship, friends, and then your job, and then unnecessarily, getting a bashing from the boss also. And thodi bahut, you are not doing justice to your on duties. So I feel go to the experts for higher amount of management of money. And we have got a great website, Go for Wealth. Certainly Manu is doing a very great job. I have seen his website, and giving an algorithmic advice on mutual funds is a great idea. So I think we should go through the passive and indirect way of participation in the markets. That's a better way of approaching the markets.
Thanks, Sandeep bhai. Manu, you have a very interesting approach that sort of helps protect capital while in downturns like this. The drawdowns are either limited or not as bad as the markets are. We'd like some some thoughts on that, please.
Yeah. So, like Sandeep said, and thank you for complimenting Sandeep. Like Sandeep said, what we should also do is, whatever he said is right. Plus, I would just add one more thing there before I come to this question. Is also do not invest into equities or into mutual funds just because you have got spare cash. Cash is a different aspect altogether. You must have a cash management for yourself. We just launched a couple of weeks back. We launched emergency planning videos for our customers and our followers on Facebook. So we always say that depending on the business that you are in, depending on the sectors that you operate in, you must have minimum 6 to 1 year, maybe 1.5 years of cash ready with you. And like Sandeep said in the beginning, I also learned it the hard way that if you are 100% invested into equities, that's not a good thing. You must have some cash with you, right? So emergency planning is very important. You must have some cash, and just because you have got cash, it shouldn't be invested into equities. Equity investment is an art. It's form of the regular kind of investment that's there. Right? Now coming to the question that Manan asked. So what we do is, and that brings to the algorithm, the logic that we have built is, we constantly monitor, evaluate the client's portfolio that we have, right? And keep a tab on. So like Sandeep said, our approach also starts with risk management first. We understand the risk of the client first, the customers first, and we figure out how much is he capable of, or how much is he comfortable to take risk on, right? And that's the cap that we put in the portfolio there. And that's what one should do. This is not something that Go for Wealth only can do. You can do it also yourself. You can also put an Excel tracker for yourself and do that. So put a risk number to a number to your risk appetite. Evaluate, let your portfolio get there. There's Google Sheet available, which auto calculates your daily portfolio returns, etc. I mean, I'm just giving some example of how people can automate it on their own way, right? So Google Sheet is available. You put a number there that, okay, you are comfortable taking a 5% downtick there. Right? In case there's a downtick more than that, in case there's a drawdown more than that, you always are free to switch from, say, a company to a B company if you are comfortable only into equities. Right? Otherwise, the best option is, and what we suggest to people is an asset allocation model where we say, okay, if say you have 50% asset, 50% of your corpus invested into equity, and 40% into debt and 10% into cash, that should be maintained always. So in case the equity market goes down, that means your cash portion goes up, your debt portion goes up, so money should automatically flow there into equity market. So that there's an auto averaging happening to all these three asset classes. Similarly, when the equity markets appreciate, you should just be greedy enough there. You shouldn't just be cling on to your portfolio there and say, well, I'm still there. You should keep booking your profits also, at the regular interval. I have heard Sandeep many times, he's suggesting big time, booking profits. And I remember this line from Sandeep where he said, a profit in book is not a good idea. Booking profit is always better than profit in book. So, you should book profits there, and then, again, put a cash sheet there, put a, debt fund there, so that in times like these, when market goes down, you have got enough cash, enough surplus in debt to actually flow back into your equity. That's the approach that we keep for our customers. That's one. The second thing is, while you do goal planning and invest for those goals, towards the end of the goal, please understand your goals have got a finite deadline. If your child has to go for a higher education in 2030, she has to go for that education in 2030. It cannot be postponed for 2032. So while you approach towards the end of your goals, you must ensure that your equity allocation goes down and your debt and your risk averse allocation goes up. And that's the way how we protect and kind of limit the drawdown. Of course, drawdown cannot be fully ignored, but the limit can be put on that drawdown there.
Okay, thanks, Manu. We've got some questions from our audience. One very interesting question is, what could be the reason that Jio is planning to launch the IPO first in on global markets rather than in Indian markets? So that's something I'm sure most of our participants want. Sandeep bhai.
Yeah, great question. It's a very, very, very relevant and a very good question. In fact, I was never expecting this question on this forum, but then, NASDAQ is behaving as if, COVID was not there in US. Yeah, it's a V-shaped recovery and it's already at lifetime highs. And NASDAQ is a great exchange to, list all these kind of, IT companies. And I think that's why, and Indian markets may not have that appetite also. And Indian markets, they have come up with enough paper and already they have come up with rights issue. So it may not be a good idea to come up again with, Jio IPO. So I think, Reliance is again a big front runner and a trendsetter. They do things in a different style. And I must appreciate the way they have been approaching the capital market since 1975. And they have created the cult in Indian markets, the investor cult, and the retail investors, which we see, I think in one way or the other must have been associated with Reliance. So I think it's a great idea and they will get a better valuation also. And then, they can always relist. So there the valuations and there the appetite for the Jio. And in fact, already lots of good investors, big PE firms have already invested. So I think it will be easier for them to take an exit also and don't take a hit on the currency also. So maybe
the currency valuation.
They're trying to give an exit route to the PEs here.
Another question is, there are some sectors which are really beaten down. One of them is the real estate and the home finance sector. Except for a couple of stocks which are doing well, namely HDFC banks and the HDFCs of the world, most of the sector is very badly beaten down. Can we have some views on the revival of that sector or the current prospects of that sector, please?
So, do you
Manu,
want me
would you want to take that?
Manu will answer?
Manu, would you want to take that?
Yes. Manan? Yeah?
Yeah, please go on.
So, yes. So my take, again, I would go to my first opening statement where I said there has to be a commonsensical approach, right? Now, with TCS and, sorts of companies announcing that this COVID has actually thrown a new opportunity to them where most of the employees would work from home. There are people where they say that, their office requirements will go down. Right? So all these companies which are into office leasing, etc., they, if they are not going to do very bad, they are definitely going to experience tough time in near future. Right? So currently our call to our customers is an avoid on the real estate sector. That's our call, right? Our research says that we're going to experience, and many research are there in the public domain also, which says that people are going to experience a lot of downturn in real estate prices, both in residential and commercial, and therefore currently real estate sector is an avoid for us. Yeah, we do not recommend real estate sector to our customers.
I will also give a take on this question. My take. See, the question is right. You put it in a very right way that HDFCs are doing well, and somehow when I was talking about my 20 Atmanirbhar stocks, somehow I feel that housing sector will have as Manu said, will have a very, very tough time. Real estate particularly, and even HDFC came up with their results, and their NPAs went high in terms of their wholesale loans. So things will not that be easy, but still, if we see, as I talked about it in the beginning only, that banks and NBFCs will have a very tough time. They are one of the worst affected, but then again, there were great opportunities being thrown to Muthoot Finance or Manappuram Finance. Muthoot Finance having a loan portfolio of 92% backed by gold and LTV going up, and already gold has also gone up. So you cannot generalize the whole segment. In fact, the day before yesterday, I was talking on the channel also, and I said, HDFC Limited in housing finance, Muthoot Finance in NBFCs, and in banks, it will be SBI, Axis Bank, ICICI, and HDFC Bank, or at max, Kotak Mahindra Bank. Rest, we should not explore. So these are some of the names which we are looking at. Yes, it is not the best time for them, but again, we can look at the valuations, we can look at the consolidation, and then we can get into, and we can always approach the markets with options also, but then that's a very technical topic to talk about. But somehow one should not be very bullish and not be very adventurous also to explore. And about Repco Finance, I'll not be very, very comfortable in, buying that at even at cheaper valuations.
I would just add one more thing there, Manan.
Sure.
So, again, as we said, this COVID has actually, put the cash flow, the balance sheet of all the companies into TG, right? Now, the stronger companies, they have got more muscle power and they will be able to absorb it more in a better way than than not so strong companies. So while selecting any company, or for that matter, any sector or companies or anything, you must look at this position of the company there, right? In case you see that their cash flow itself was negative earlier, their OPEX margin was low, you shouldn't be betting your money against all the odds, right? It will take time, guys. Let's be serious about it. Pandemic that has come, it will take time for India, and not just India, for the entire world to recover, right? Sandeep rightly said, NASDAQ is in its own territory, Dow is in own territory, but then it will take time for the entire global supply chain and demand to come back. People are hesitant and they're actually postponing their bigger purchases, right? There's so much of layoff happening, so much of cost cutting happening across the board. So therefore, the demand would, yes, consumer staples would anyways come back, but putting things to consumer discretionary, I believe it will take time to revive. If not more, at least a couple of quarters minimum post the COVID.
Okay. We will not take specific stock questions. Just request to the participants that we will not take specific questions that are there because we have limited time. But I've got some other questions which we've got. A very interesting question comes up is, the government has announced various schemes and packages, including the large 20 lakh crore package and others. How do you think this will help in reviving the economy over a period of time, say 3 quarters or 4 quarters down? We've seen many, many large announcements, but how do you see that impacting on the ground?
See, they will have to come up with more packages. I think it was not a 20 lakh crore package. I don't know what kind of 20 lakh. It was in the calculation, this is coming up to 21 lakh crores. But somehow I feel that, if it comes to me, I feel I have not benefited any single penny out of that, 20 lakh crore. So I think they will have to come up more for, MSMEs, and they will have to come up with tax cuts also. Already they have come up in the month of September last year. But then again, some tax refunds also, maybe whatever tax we have deposited in the past, they should do some, tax refund in terms. They should actually structure a loan wherein, they should check the balance sheets of the MSMEs, then the GST payments, then the income tax payments, then whatever they have sold during this particular bad phase. So they have to restructure. It has to be actually done very, very algorithmically, and they have to use some artificial intelligence and come at a figure where, they can give actual money in the hands of people like, MSMEs and entrepreneurs, because otherwise people will have a very tough time. And lots of big focus has been done to the agri sector where, maybe it's a very populistic, and maybe, that is the sector where, there are lots of other political reasons also. And one reason is actually agriculture economy is also lagging behind as compared to the services GDP or the industrial GDP. But again, I think there is a lot more to come from the government, and I don't think this will really help in reviving things. I think something is there in the offing for the banks and in the NBFCs also, and that will only help to revive the things.
So you're saying we need a lot
Yeah.
more. I mean, the package may not be enough because there are inconsistencies and there are some gaps. So we will need to aggressively fill those gaps. Yes, Manu, please, we'd like to have your thoughts
Yeah.
on that.
I also wrote an elaborate article on this a couple of weeks back on this. But then what I mean to say and what I believe, that the package that has come, it is more of, at one end it is for the subsistence level, right? So it's required for the migrants, for the laborers, for, those agriculturists, etc. But at the same time, there has to be enough and substantial push for spending to come, right? So why is consumer discretionary not getting revived, right? Because people are really hesitant. We have to force people, we have to goad people kind of to actually come out and spend money. Right? For that to happen, people have to believe that their income, their cash is actually secured. If not secured, they have got enough to actually meet their end. So as Sandeep rightly said, it's not just about reviving the rural economy at one sector. We also have to figure out how we can, because currently, 60%, more than 60% of our GDP is services, right? We have to figure out how services can revive, how the MSME at one end can revive, and at the same time, how the individual customers can revive their spending habits. There's a lot, I believe, though I hate to call it, but it comes as if it's an optical kind of 20 lakh that is there. Many calculations are, doing the rounds. My own calculation says that, it's about 1.8 lakh crore of what has come to people actually. But then there's more that needs to be done for people and for the corporate sector as such.
Great. I have a very special guest with me. He's from the very first batch of Somaya. We've got Mr. Anuj Bhargav, and he's been an ardent investor. So I've known him in various capacities, but the one that I love to interact with him about is his investing thought and his investing philosophies. Anuj, hi, good evening. We'd like to have some comments from you as well.
I believe
Anuj
Anuj is not unmuted.
No, I can see him on the panel, but team, if you can please unmute Mr. Anuj. And then,
yeah.
Hi, so I guess my video is still muted, but that's fine.
Video is not there.
It's okay. I'm not too much of an Amir Khan guy, as Sandeep would say, so it's fine.
hi, Anuj.
Hi, Anuj. Yeah.
Yeah, so perhaps I would be extremely the odd guy out in this philosophy which we've discussed. Honestly, I picked up and I actually sent a message to Manu as well
Yes.
on the private chat. Experience teaches you many things which academics doesn't teach you, right? Yeah. So I have been investing since I was a kid. So I've got almost 38 years or 40 years of investing with me. Sandeep, it might be of interest for you to know that I was instrumental in setting up the key exchanges in India, since you're an exchange guy and a fan. So almost most of the market infrastructure has been done by me in terms of NSE, NSDL, Clearing Corporation, SEBI.
And TCS.
Yes. So I was driving that from TCS. So coming to investing styles, it might surprise you, in the 38, 40 years that I've had, I have not sold more than 20 times, including times like this. So this might come as a bit of shock for a lot of people who support FDs and margin of safety, etc. But I have generated amazing wealth by staying in the market and keeping my head down and ignoring the trough and the lows. Research indicates that maybe 10, 20 days in a year, if you are invested, you create the maximum wealth. And God knows which are those 20 days. I don't think anybody can pick up. Right? So if you can, you become a great trader. I have last 3 years tried trading as well to see whether trading beats my long-term investing. And so far it's not, even though I've been working with some of the best trading minds in India. Generated reasonable wealth. I wouldn't say immense wealth, but I have accumulated over 900 to 1,000 companies in my portfolio. And I track them all closely. I have complete data on all of them. I read all their balance sheets. So the point Sandeep, I think, was making and laboring to, push was you can't ignore the fundamentals.
Yes.
Currently, I sit with Manu and, Manan on a few groups where they chat, and they are like fans of your charts. So last 5 years, 7 years, I've started looking at charts. At TCS, we experimented with Algo, I did. And we experimented with seeing charts, seeing the correlation. But nothing really beats the story. So, so some people say, don't look at the future. But boss, investing is about the future. So if you don't look at the forward P, you have a problem. So you must look at it, but ignore the past, right? So when you hire an MBA, for example, you look what is he done. So you are seeing the past because you're seeing his track record. Is he committed? Why are we looking at guys with, A pluses or 60%, whatever? Is because we want to see that he's committed himself to the task that was given to him. The same way the company has been given a task to return money to the shareholders, has it? So to me, the dividend ratio, the cash flow, employee retention, they are very different measures I look at. So I look at capital to sales, which might help Sandeep, look up and beef up his research. I think that's a leverage ratio that very few people look at. But I look at that. P to me has made lesser and lesser importance in the last few years, primarily because I have been now looking at stocks from the point of obsolescence. And I firmly believe that at every curve, and COVID has given that curve, where you will find obsolescence investing to become extremely critical. So some of these titans will just disappear. And I've seen this in Western markets. I've kind of invested in a few Western markets. So I've seen Marconis of the world disappear as market leaders. I've seen the Mafatlals vanish. So I've seen a lot of these stars just disappear. And that's the point about the future. And these curves like this. So COVID actually is a blessing in disguise to start your slate all over again. You do a check and then you take over and make a call where you are heading. And I think those are some very critical points for investing. But typically I like to spread my net wide. There is also a style which I follow, which is very contradictory to what most people preach. I'm roughly 140% invested of my corpus. How do I do that? I do that by leveraging 100% of my stock to gain 50% of the limits. And I invest 40% of that and 10% I keep in reserve. Now that's something which I have not shared on too many platforms, but this is my own home. So this is an interesting style which a lot of people think. So per force, I'm always looking at a 7% return about the rate of interest that I pay. So every time I'm doing a cumulative investment on my book, I'm looking at 5 to 7 minimum aggregation over the 1 year. And if I can do 30%, I can actually reduce that limit, or I can leverage that 100% again to gain more. So that's a very contrast style, because I started very poor. I started working at TCS. TCS, is a poor man's job. You never get paid. So when I started, I had very poor investment funds, and that's the story of many people with a lot of consumption also. Savings are poor. So when you start with that, you need leverage to actually grow. So you either make it or you get out. And that's why your investing style becomes useful and fundamentals come in place. And the other thing that is very surprising is I've avoided mutual funds like the plague. The only one I got into was UTI, and that was because I acted as the registrar for them. So it was like good client practice to invest there. So those are some of the top of the mind crazy things that I've done in building my portfolio. And so far, I think I've done a CAGR of over 33 or 34% for the last 40 years. So that'll give you an idea of I've been lucky. How lucky I have been.
Anuj sir,
that's a fantastic piece of advice, Anuj. I believe what you've been doing is, even if you say it's crazy, what you've been doing is you've been consistent with your style. Knowing what you do and being consistent with your style is what makes things work for you. And kudos to you. You've been doing it fantastically well. And many people can, but one piece of advice to all the people who are there on this, you have to just not copy anyone's style. You have to make your style. Anuj has made his own style. He's been consistent with
Absolutely.
that, and therefore he has made money. So you have to make your style. Don't copy anyone's style.
Absolutely.
Anuj, excellent. Actually, it was great hearing from you when I was there in Mumbai also, on September 7th last year. That was the alumni meet, and it was a fantastic story from your side. And I was so happy to, hear from you that, you were you were behind the exchanges of India, and in fact, you were representing TCS there. And then again, I'm amazed to hear about, 33% CAGR. And the things which you were talking about, actually, you really need a huge amount of experience. Even at this level also, even, I might be, I think, 13 years junior to you. It will take me another graying of 13 years of, time. So, and I think hats off to you, the kind of returns you've generated. And you are very right. It is all about ideas. Your P multiples and all these are numbers. Somehow you have to have conviction. And those all big investors are actually always a buy only investors. And as you rightly said, 20 times only you have sold. So these are something, that is actually, coffee can investing, or there are some PMSs running like that, and I'm very sure Anuj, with his kind of experience and with his exposure, must be making a very good amount of money. And time dena padta hai, timing the market, give time
Don't
to
do
the
it.
market, give time to your investments. Don't time the market. That's it.
Yes.
Correct.
Give time to the market. Yeah.
So, for closing remarks,
And while we were doing,
please go on, Manan.
Manan?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. While we were advocating, me and Sandeep, we were advocating that you should have some cash with yourself, and Anuj pointed to a different thing. But I do believe that this cash at the initial level gives you cushion, right? So we were, for me, I am 100% invested into markets. I'm a buy-only investor. While we have a trading account and we do trading also, my wife does trading. I also do trading. So trading is different ballgame altogether. There we know that we are taking a stock to just play the market. But for investment, that's a different story altogether. Cash gives you cushion, and that's the limited point that we wanted to make.
No, I agree with you. Manu, your style is perfect. My style is after you've grown into the socks and you have understood what you are getting into, that's when you do it. Even now, yes. I borrow 50%, but 10% stays cash. So I'm expecting the 40% that I have borrowed to return about 66%, so that I break even. 12% for the bank and balance 14 for me.
See, this is one questionnaire we have evolved with. I was talking about this questionnaire, Anuj, particularly. I'll send you a mail also.
Sure.
Same medicine cannot be given to, all the patients. Somehow, Anuj is a different level of investor. Maybe we are addressing different level of people also. And we have to do a proper risk profiling. Even, we have given a question, if you can arrange extra funds. If you have passion and if you don't have money, at least you can be a working partner with someone. You can at least do a profit sharing with someone. If you can leverage yourself, then you have to have a different, mindset. So there are lots of things. We have to do a proper diagnosis. Then we can give a proper prognosis. So for everyone, the same stock can be bought in a different manner, different time frame. And we have to do the proper risk profiling before doing any suggestion or before giving any recommendation.
Absolutely.
Whenever people approach me on Twitter also, on TV also, I have a different setup for everyone. If you are a trader, then this. If you are an investor, then this. If you want money after 6 months, then don't do this. So I think it is all dependent on individual to individual. No same individual, not even me or my partner cannot do the same trade in this thing. So I think Anuj is very right. So we have to approach differently.
For closing remarks, I would like one theme or one stock or one major idea from each of you all, starting with the most senior of us, Anuj, please. If we can have one idea or one theme that you feel in the next 1 year, we can immensely benefit from, please.
So difficult choosing one from 900, but today
we'll
the one
five.
industry.
Anuj, let's take 5, please.
No, so I was just coming to it very quickly. Essentially, one industry that has withstood COVID well, has no revenue impact, and is actually increased revenues in the interim, and is a lot of businesses will shift to is telecom. So telecom, if you look at any of the ones like Jio today, you are seeing, it's no wonder they have attracted 70-80,000 crores, and they have come back from the brink of insolvency to being a cherished leader again. You have Bharti, which is doing very strong, and of late, Idea seems to have picked up quite a bit. There was a song and dance about Google. Even before Google, my own idea was that at about 4, this looked like a 12 rupee stock. Principally because it's been beaten down a lot and there is significant future value still left in the stock. As of today, it's a defunct buy. So that's a punt, and that will give you a 3x, whereas a Bharti will give you a steady 10-15%. And Jio obviously is already taken a lot off the table. Now they have to deliver something more to give you something more. So telecom, and I think, I listened to what Sandeep said, and I just loved what he said because I'm there in all those spaces. So it makes a lot of sense. I love exchanges. I have my own biases as well. And I think if commerce has to survive, exchanges will survive. Though obviously all these exchanges are outdated. They are old, throw in the can kind of situation just now. They have not been reinvented since the last 20 years, which is very sad for a tech outfit.
Yes.
You have specialty chemicals, which is there, and there is a script which is not being talked about much, and I haven't mentioned it much. It's run up quite a bit. It's called National Peroxide. Maybe Sandeep can share with the people on National Peroxide because he has a great research team. But I am invested in that stock from about 40 rupees and then 200 rupees and 400 rupees. And I also invested at 1800 rupees, just about 5 shares. The other thing that I do is I have no hesitation in buying even one share. It doesn't make me big or small. But when I buy a share, because I have so much in the universe, every now and then when I look at a script, I know, oh yes, I had a thought on this. Is it maturing? Is it going in that direction? So when I buy, don't hesitate to buy even one share. You don't become big or small by buying thousands of quantity. You buy big or small by buying the right at the right time. And that's critical. So, that's one thing from the specialty chemical he said, which I have been, looking at. And there is another script of mine, which is not really on the radar for governance. It's called Mangalam Organics. Okay. And the only reason why I've got into it is because it has got camphor. So there are 3 scripts in camphor there. You can look at all 3. But Mangalam just happened to know the promoter, so I kind of got in a little bit. But I think it's an interesting play if they deliver their expansion right. So I'm waiting for the balance sheet. I generally am also a balance sheet investor. So I love reading the balance sheet before committing further. So I hope that's a plateful, right?
Thank you, Anuj. We move to Sandeep Bhai, please.
Actually, Anuj gave me a very good idea. Actually, I was just researching about, Mangalam Organics. It's a fantastic story. National Peroxide, also one of my TV followers, sent me a whole, bunch of research, and long back, I think, and it has done a multi-bagger from there. But though I have not recommended this stock, it's a great idea, certainly. And, specialty chemicals coming from Anuj, again, gives me a very good conviction. Then telecom somehow is one thing, data is the most consumed item in the world as on date. Sote waqt bhi kha rahe hain aadmi, jagte hue bhi kha rahe hain. So I think data is one thing, certainly, it's a big thing. And when it comes to companies, as Anuj rightly said, Reliance will have to now deliver more. So I'm not very comfortable, buying Reliance from here. Then Bharti actually has outperformed in last few months. And in fact, we have been a buyer since, 300 rupees. And actually, I got the conviction from hearing to Mr. S. Narain of, ICICI Pru. And I was there in a webinar with him on PhD Chamber also. And I complimented him. Because when I just went to listen to him, we generally go to those mutual fund seminars also. And I got the idea from there. And those times when no one were talking about, Bharti Airtel, and it was coming down from the levels of say 450 to 280, 90, and giving a conviction in that particular idea was a great thing, and I really appreciated him. So I think Bharti, certainly I'll be a buyer at, again, 480, 90 levels. Let it correct by say 10, 15%. Today it corrected because, Google of the world has actually looked on to its competitor Idea. So let's see. But again, telecom is a very, very interesting space. We are very, very, keen on, investing in this sector. Specialty, I've recommended n number of stocks. Pharma, we have recommended lots of stocks. Still, I'm very bullish on Pfizer in pharma. Then I will talk about, these exchange ecosystem business, which is CDSL. I'm very, very bullish on CDSL. Whenever it falls to, yes, say 200 and 215, I'm a very, very happy person. I really feel that it's an extremely cheap business, which is available, and a monopolistic business. It's a duopolistic business, NSDN and CDSL. And I still see, market sheets getting dematerialized, even your insurance policies, mutual funds, and everything is getting dematerialized. So digitalization theme is going very well with CDSL. So I think CDSL is one stock which have been very, very vocal on all the channels also, and all the media also, and Twitter also, everywhere. So I think CDSL is my top pick. One should really look at CDSL.
Manu, we would like some ideas outside what our senior alumni have said. So on to you.
So, I was just hearing to Anuj and Sandeep. They kind of, so I had listed some 15 ideas. They have kind of plundered all those ideas, but still one is left for me to speak about. And that is the financial services sector. And I'm very fond of insurance. Right? So at one point in time, what HDFC's banks and HDFC Housing Development Finance Corporation, per se, they used to, they did for investors. I believe this is the time for insurance companies to do the same magic for the investors, right? I'm very fond of these insurance companies. And I would seriously, in fact, we've been recommending insurance to our customers as well. And we believe that Sandeep also alluded to it sometime back. And we believe that insurance has got good times to come. Yeah. So insurance is one pick. Fortunately, Sandeep and Anuj left it for me, right? So that's one pick from my side. And so I think that sums it up.
So I'll just add one thing, during this time, during the lockdown time, we had the best of, time in my career in terms of, the lead generation and the conversion, and, lots of clients were coming up. CDSL opened more than 1 million accounts just because people thought, stock market is a good time pass, nothing to do at home. Why not explore stock markets? And they are burning fingers. But then jokes apart, and I'm really actually very, very worried about those hands also. But then, particularly Manu has rightly said, financial services industry will really do well. Credit rating agencies, everyone will have to get themselves re-rated. So credit rating, CRISIL I have recommended recently. ICICI Direct I recommended because, lots of small time brokers and regional brokers or unorganized brokers were actually, getting disrupted. And people are going to these Axis Direct or ICICI Direct or HDFCs of the world for broking services. So these companies are actually getting that premium. So ICICI Broking, ICICI Securities is a great bet. So I think general insurance, AMCs, we have to be very, very choosy. We have to check that, we do not fall prey to things like, Franklin Templeton, because Nippon AMC I've been recommending, but then they have their same problems in terms of, some of the problems. I won't say that similar level of problem. So we have to be very cautious. Again, HDFC AMC is a very good bet. So I think life insurance, general insurance, AMCs, exchanges, depositories, and NSE is also coming up with an IPO. So get ready with all your demat accounts. They will be coming up, say, next 3 to 6 months. So with all your family members. And last but not the least, Nifty ETF. Don't miss investing in Nifty ETFs. It's a very, very good passive investment, and ETFs are not catching up in India, but very soon it will be catching up. For every strategy, we will have a different ETFs, as we have seen in US and the Western countries. So ETFs one has to explore as an investment.
Yeah, that's very correct. I will just add, ETF is something that we've been recommending, because the ETF is the most common and passive form of investment. But you have index hugging fund, which actually delivers really good returns for you. So if you are a passive investor and really want to make some decent money from this, I think ETF is a must-have to in your portfolio.
Thank you, gents. Thank you for a very, very enlightening session. I would like to invite Monica ma'am, our director. If you all can please unmute her. Uh, Ma'am, if you can just say
Yeah,
a few
yes.
words. Thanks, ma'am. Hi. Good evening.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Good evening to everybody. Hi, Manu.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, how are you?
Good. Long time.
Yeah. Long time. I think at least 4 or 5 years since I met you.
Yes,
I've
you
been
you
very,
came here and
listen-
you didn't give me a chance to see you, huh?
Yes. Now, I've been listening very, faithfully to all of you and getting all the nuggets of wisdom. Sandeep, Anuj, Bhargava, I think all hidden jewels, all of you billionaires, I think so. I mean, the type of secrets that y'all were revealing. I think it's a very, I really enjoyed listening to all of you and a lot of insights you have given. And I think one of the most important things when people are investing in the stock market is that they're able to identify what are the winners, potential winners in the future. Which are these stocks, which are the companies, which are the sectors which are going to do well in the future? Because that's how, you would build our portfolio. And even small investors, if we get that insight, if you are able to assess which companies, which sectors are going to do well going forward, I think each of us can build a very good portfolio and wealth for us. I think at the end of the day, balance is very important. You need to have a cash backup. I mean, without cash, none of us can survive or handle any of the unforeseen emergencies or crises that will come up in our life. So balance is the key. You have to be ambitious, have to have a good portfolio. I've been a sporadic investor, so to say. I started investing in the stock market when I was very young, when I started my career with Siemens. And courtesy Mr. Harshad Mehta, the double bull, the original bull, I make a lot of money in those days, of course, in the 90s. And I bought a house for myself, a 2 BHK flat. And that turned out to be a big money spinner. So that way, but then after that, for a long time, I didn't invest. But now again, I have started looking at the stock market keen eye. I hope I'll take your advice also. And I hope good things will happen. I can see there's lot of shifts that are happening in the market. Some sectors going down, some sectors going up. Overall, if we play the game right, it will be a win-win situation for most of us. We need to be patient and we need to be able to, identify the winning stocks or the winning sectors in the future. The country has a great future. Country has a great potential, and I think that's how it's going. It's going to be good times. There is a correction right now, but it is good times in the future. We have to play the game carefully, fairly, and with lots of patience and all that. So really great. I mean, I'm very happy. The one big outcome that happened here was that we've all got together on the Zoom. It was non-existent 2 months back, but today, it's got us all much closer. And I hope this such type of debates and discussions keep continuing. And there are no geographic limits today that zaruri hai, flight pakdo, ye karo, wo karo. I think you can just have such type of discussions. There's so much learning for the students. There's so much learning for students and for all of us. So really great. I think one big advantage come out of Corona. I think for India, for us, there are more advantages than disadvantages for Corona. And we all got time to look back, to reflect, and then, maybe we'll all move forward together. So thank you for all of you. And Manan, you've been a great moderator and a compare. I look forward to many such discussions. Thank you so much to all of you, and really good luck to all of you. Great times ahead for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for a very enriching talk. We hope to have more such seminars. We are having, as part of the Alumni Association, we are also planning sector-wise discussions where we are inviting fellow alumni to participate on such forums. And we do hope to have a similar session on the stock markets probably at the end of June. So I would appreciate if we can get more participation, and for our guests to join in again. Thanks everybody. Thanks for your time this Friday evening. Stay safe, stay at home, and have a nice weekend ahead. That's out and over from me.
Thank you very much, Manan. Thanks
Thank you so much.
everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks
Thank you everyone
everybody.
for joining. Thank you.